Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the Quack podcast. I'm your host, Spidercides, and for this one, we got a very special one for you. I have a very special guest by the name of Sir Jonas himself. Welcome, Sir Jonas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good today. Thank you. Happy to be on this podcast.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I'm very fortunate and very happy that we've managed to get you on here, and it's been honestly. It's been something on my mind. I'm just like, who would be a cool guest to have on the podcast? And I'm just like, I always see what you do for the community with all the Wired stuff on Legacy, and I'm just like, man, like, I got some questions for him. And I know some of the community people got some questions for you too. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day from joining us today.
No worries. I'm excited to be here and excited to answer all the questions you have. It's my first time on a podcast as well, so pretty exciting.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. No, I appreciate it. I know you mentioned earlier when we were just chatting that you actually listened to the one that we did like with Proxy, with Elsewhere. So I know being on a podcast is a little bit different. Obviously, everyone can like hear us speak, and I think that's exciting that we can like kind of just converse and talk about different aspects of the game. I guess first and foremost, since maybe some people don't know who you are from the Origins community, maybe even from the Legacy side for whoever's listening, you want to introduce yourself. Who are you, and what do you do for the game?
Sure. Well, first, maybe a question.
Mhm.
When I refer to Habbo, like where I work for, you guys all refer to it as legacy, right?
Legacy or
maybe
modern?
maybe
Yeah.
um maybe for convenience I will say legacy as well, but it is definitely not named legacy. Otherwise people will come after me. um yeah, and
No,
when
it's
we say
okay.
modern, it usually means the Unity client specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, I will say legacy to make it easy. I used to be, well, to introduce myself, I used to be a legacy player since like 2011.
Okay.
And yeah, I just played for a long time, sometimes on and off, and had a big passion for Wired, amongst other things. And at a certain point, I sent an email to Sulake, asking if I could improve Wired. I had like all these ideas, and I wrote them up pretty briefly, and they pretty much immediately greenlighted the project, and a few months later we started. And that is how I became a staff member and a developer. I'm also just developing general features for Habbo as well, not just Wired. But that's how it started.
Okay, so you obviously played, and then you were inspired. You wanted to kind of like support the game as well, and you had the skills to do so.
Yeah, I was really passionate about Wired specifically because well, it was also a bit of frustration because I was playing Habbo. I wanted to create games with Wired, but Wireds were so like limited and buggy, and I don't know. I just felt like this has so much more potential, like 1 million times more potential. Um, and I felt like I had all these ideas like stacking up over course of very long, and then at a certain point I thought like if someone is gonna fix this, I'm gonna need to be that person. And I
Nice.
trust myself with that job. So that is why that is why I joined. Definitely the main reason.
No, that's exciting. That's kind of cool because some of us who played the game, like I played the game way back in 2005, right? And growing up, you go, man, it'd be kind of cool to work for the game, right? Like you play different games, you want to work for the company ultimately, right? And it's fun because you technically did it. You kind of did it, and you've been here ever since, right? So when did you officially start working again? Like, what was the year? So you started playing 2011, but when did you start? When did you start working for Sulake?
That is a good question. I think it was 2020. or 2023. I'm
Okay.
not sure anymore about the exact year. I know
Ta-
that in the beginning I was doing it in my free time in the beginning. So for I don't know 8 months or 1 year, it was more like a passion project on the side of
oh
my
wow.
studies and stuff like that. Um, and then and for a long time actually it wasn't known that I was working for Sulake. But then after a while we announced that, and then after another while when my studies were finished, I also started working full time, and then also picking up general Habbo development tasks and stuff like that. It's actually funny that you mentioned that indeed, like a lot of people when they talk to me, they say like, yeah, when I was young, I always have like imagined how it would be like if I worked for Habbo. And what's kind of funny is that I never had that. Like I've never ever imagined myself working for Habbo. I was just so frustrated at Wired that it could have been so much better that I I needed to do that. It was like a calling.
It was meant to be, right? You had the skills, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it myself. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. And now the game itself. You said you started in 2011. What brought you to the game? Like, how did you learn about the game? Why did you play? Like, what interested you about this game? That's when you started playing in 2011.
Well, I was very very young, and like our neighborhoods where I lived, we had like a big group of friends, and one of those like I would hang out with them daily. Like I don't know how old I was, like maybe 12 or something. I don't remember. Um, and one of these people introduced me to Habbo, and we played for a few months. We played together, like stuff like Falling Fernie and stuff like that, and it was just really funny. um, but yeah, that is how I got into it.
Okay.
I never really experienced the old school Shockwave Habbo aside of Origins. Now, like I didn't start playing during that era.
Oh.
I think I started when Habbo was really peaking because the user counts were at their highest in 2011, and then it all came down. But um, yeah, so at least I got that with me. I actually did see the old version of Habbo with the hand and stuff 1 year before I tried it myself with like at another neighbor. She was playing Habbo, and and I just remember the hands, but I didn't play it back then. Yeah.
Yeah, the visuals of Origins and the Shockwave client is nostalgic, right? Because it's all the old images. The hand is always a big one. The purse, the console, right? It looks very different from the game that is now that you're currently working on Legacy, right? Or modern for anyone
Yeah.
listening. And the game looks so different in two different aspects, but it's following the same concept of community building, relationships, making friends, chatting, building rooms, entering in competitions. There's so many different aspects to Habbo, but now we're in two very different environments. So it's kind of cool that you enter the game after the Shockwave. I was there during the Shockwave, and it's very similar. Like Mackleby did a good job bringing the game to life, like with this. Like I don't even know how he did it because this is technically a dead language. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The question I have for you when you logged into Origins, and for anyone wondering, he doesn't have the ability to log into Origins. His account is currently bugged. So if you're wondering what's on the screen right now, I actually photoshopped this image. He's not here in the game right now. I've just put this image together for anyone wondering. But when it came to you logging into Origins for the first time, what was your initial impression? Like, what did you think when you started walking around?
Well, it's actually funny because that was actually months before Origins launched. I remember Mackleby that like we have this thing called wish days in the company where 2 days every 2 months we do anything we want to improve the game or something random. And Mackleby's project was like bringing back just for fun, the old um, the old Habbo,
Hmm.
and that went so well that he organized like a company event, like a little company meeting where we could all like log into it. And that's when I was there the first time, like the first time I've ever been on the old school Habbo. Um, yeah, it was so interesting. The things that I noted about it is that something I kind of knew already, but the old Habbo has way more personality to it. Like it feels way more like I don't know. It has such a personal touch that we kind of lost in Legacy Habbo. That is something yeah, that sucks that we lost that, but it's awesome that we have like that nostalgic portion of Habbo back with the
Yeah.
Origins project. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the look, the old school design, it's something that you can never forget about. So it's kind of it's refreshing that we have something like this back into the game and back into the community itself. Now it's kind of cool that it initially Maccabee, did this as an idea and it just turned into something even bigger. Right now, it's a full-fledged game that people can be a part of and feel. Now, in terms of you coming into the game and obviously feeling that nostalgia. Obviously, some of the people might have recognized you, and then we have some people in the chat here that know who you are as well. Obviously, there's no Wired in Origins, right? In your mind, with Wired and everything, are you familiar with how the coding or how the mechanisms or the mechanics in general work in Origins? Like, do you feel that this game has the capability of doing something similar to a Wired, maybe not to the full extent of Wired, but maybe something basic?
Well, you're immediately jumping off with the controversial questions,
I'm
because I
very,
know that
yeah.
I know that Wired and Origins in one sentence is very unpopular amongst your community,
Oh
at
yes.
least to how I remember it. So I gotta be careful with answering this one.
Yes, yes.
um, yeah, wait, let me think a bit. First of all, your first part of the question.
Yeah, like in
No,
terms of the
I don't have any experience with the Origins client, so I don't know if
if it's
what the
capable or not.
technical capabilities are. But
Right.
I don't think like um, obviously we shouldn't expect it to be the same as what is currently referred to as legacy, right?
Yeah.
I think like if you wanted to, definitely possible. There is well, how I if something like Wired would come to Origins, I imagine it would be a very very stripped. Like I don't think it's gonna happen in the first place, but I think it would be pretty. My controversial opinion is that it would probably be very beneficial. But two things
Eh,
to know:
eh,
like if the community sentiment is so bad that everyone would leave, obviously it's not a good idea anymore. And
for sure,
secondly,
yeah.
it shouldn't come in the form that Wired currently is. If that would come to Origins, you would probably need to package it in an entirely different way, probably not with furniture, a very stripped down version, just like a walk on Fernie, teleports and a toggle Fernie, like and user says keyword, like the very very basics for like the very basic room interactions could like allow a lot of things already. You don't need to make complex games like we currently have in Legacy Habbo. I think a very stripped down version of Wired, maybe not even called Wired, maybe not even working in the same way, would probably be pretty interesting. Like I would be interested to see that, but
So
yeah,
I'll share
yeah.
my opinion, and I agree with you. I think this is a very controversial topic, and I wanted to kick it off with a controversial topic too, because I know it's on everyone's mind that about Wired and like what's everyone's thoughts. Now, overall, I think the community is against Wired in general, in terms of Wired what it is now today. right? However, I do
Okay.
believe if we were to present it, maybe calling it a different name, maybe not even calling it Wired, call it something else, but introduce something kind of like what you said, but a very stripped down version where, for example, here's my ideas. This is some of the ideas that some people have thought of as well, is like, let's say you go into a room and you're in front of a teleporter, let's say, and then there's a pop
Mhm.
up that says, like when you double click the teleporter, there's a pop up and it says enter a password. And you have to enter a specific password to get into the teleporter. Or let's say you go in front of a gate and you have to enter something to go through it. Or there's like a bot in the room where it's asking a question and you're providing an answer. And then once you get the correct answer, a door opens. I think that stripped down version can work in a game like this. In terms of just making it a little bit easier to like host certain games. I don't think, and I agree with you, I don't think we need Tetris or Flappy Bird or any of the other games you've brought into the community on Legacy. I think that should stay there. But in modern, I think we can if it's presented the right way and shown first, I think people would enjoy it. But I do agree with you. I know it's very controversial and very it gets people a little bit nervous for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that, but maybe a good thought experiment would be. By the way, I fully agree with like your examples. I think that would be awesome, and also fits in the idea of like very stripped down version. Maybe not even Wired. Actually, the name of Wired internally before it was called Wired is user defined room events.
Oh, okay.
So just to say that it like, by the way, the name Wired makes no sense at all. Nothing about Wired is Wired, but um like it could and should, if something would come like that hypothetically,
Hmm.
then it could just definitely be called something different.
Yeah, I agree.
um I was gonna say something. No, I forgot. No, I forgot what I was gonna say.
No, no, it's all good, and I appreciate you agreeing with the ideas because I do believe the game itself, like although you mentioned in the beginning that the community is not obviously we don't have as many players as we did years ago, right? Um,
Yeah.
Origins is even smaller than Legacy, right? Like we have a couple hundred people playing this game, so I think finding different avenues to make it a little bit more engaging can go a long way. I think one of the things that have been brought into the game, and I see in the chat here from Active Girl, you came on when during the fishing launch, so you're probably familiar that we have fishing in Origins, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I think those kind of very because that's a very stripped down version of a game. Like you just stand, you catch, and that's it. Like you're just waiting, right? I think
Mhm.
having those types of little games and little engagements in the video game, I think can go a long way, at least long term, anyways.
I fully agree with that. Actually, I think that the two kind of pillars that hold Habbo are the social aspects of the game, and then the interactions inside a room and the engagement you can create there. And I think what happened in the like legacy Habbo is that over the years, like there has been like this shift towards um more engaging rooms. Like if you look at like 2012 to 2022, like the if you would observe how the room creations and the engagement inside rooms evolved, that really exploded. And then you also at the same time you saw that like social features in Habbo were kind of, they never really evolved anymore. So I think that's what kept Legacy Habbo alive, the fact that we had very interactive rooms. But it's definitely like the synergy between the two that keeps the game alive. So any kind of development in either of those two aspects is, I think, always a benefit for the game. If it's Origin or Legacy, doesn't matter. Um, yeah, what I wanted to say about, I just remembered, like maybe a fun thought experiment is, what if Wired didn't exist in Habbo at all? How would
Mm.
the Origins community look at the idea of creating something automated? Like if you walk on a furniture, then you get a message like type in a password, or
Mm,
or
yeah.
I don't know. Like, what would the sentiment be if Wired didn't even exist in Habbo? Like, I would be interested in that. Like,
You know
because
what? That's a good
if then
question.
people would say, yeah, that sounds like fun idea, and then now they say it's not because something similar exists in Habbo Legacy. Then that's kind of, I don't know.
That's a good
It definitely
question.
sets a bit wrong.
Yeah, it makes me think because I'm sitting back here in my chair and I go, wait a minute. I think a lot of the things that we have on Legacy, I think the fact that it's on Legacy affects people's opinions if it comes into Origins,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
I think you're bringing up a very good point. And I think that's why, like, if we were to bring anything stripped down, and by the way, for anyone listening, this Jonas is not saying that we're ever going to get wired or not. We probably never will,
No, definitely
but
not.
right,
I have
but
nothing to do with Origins, by the way.
exactly.
I just
Yeah, and
want to put that disclaimer here.
exactly. Let's put it out there. Jonas has nothing to do with Origins, no matter how badly we want him here, right? But in terms of the wired aspect in the game, I think having a stripped down version in Origins, I'd love to see the ideas that people would have. I love the idea of like stepping on a doormat and then something happens, and running through a maze and then having something that's a little bit more automated. I'll be honest with you, I think the community. Oh yeah, if Legacy did not exist, I think the community would love it. But again, I can't speak for
I'm
everyone, but I have a feeling
I
that they
think
would.
so as well. But
Right.
yeah, yeah, I really have a bet. Like, I'm not good in estimating. I really don't know the Origins community well, so I have no idea. If you guys would ever be convinced of something that comes even close to like such an idea, you
Yeah,
have probably a better idea. What are the chances even of such a thing succeeding? Well, because as far as I know, it's really like probably 90% would vote against. But I don't know. That's why
So
I'm
so
not very
for
involved. Yeah.
so yeah, so for me, I would say that if it's there's two things that need to be done. Number one, it needs to be presented well, right? It needs to be explained and we cannot call it wired, right? For the stripped down version, if it were to ever happen. And then number two, we would need to show it to people, right? The people would need to see it to believe it,
Hmm.
right? And I think, and there needs to be some sort of promise that this will not turn into Legacy. This will not turn into what we see in terms of automation in that game. And I think that's when the community would probably recognize it and accept it. Also, seeing all the possibilities, right? There's a lot of people that host games, like myself, like Dovak. There's a lot of good people out there, even Bob Barker, that can benefit from something like this. And I think it can go a long way. And I'm seeing some comments in the chat here. We have Cramdos here saying there are Fernie that changes states when people sit on them. That could be something that could be a K in Origins. Imagine Wired, but in terms of having something a little bit more basic in terms of automation, right? It could
Yeah.
work. And we have someone here, Calypso, saying a basic wire for trivia, something even as simple as just trivia, or riddles could go a long way. So I don't know if the community would be 90% no, but I think if it's presented well later, I don't think right now. I think right now it's maybe too soon, but maybe later on, after a couple months, after more things are in the game, I don't see why not. But I do believe we need something eventually.
Maybe what you're describing, by the way, it kind of makes me think of what Wired initially was, because Wired wasn't always, and it still isn't, by the way, isn't like exclusively automated games. And when I started Habbo, and I think Wired wasn't out for very long, um, I don't remember any automated game. Nothing. It was
Yeah.
just used to assist people with hosting their own games, like fan sites or giveaways, or like in that, indeed, like trivia games, random things. And then Wired was just like a very very small like assistant to what the actual game host was doing, just to allow the games to be there, but it wasn't automated in any way at all. and often like there was this game called Guess the Word, and then the host would ask a question, and then they would set up a word inside a wired box, and the first person to activate that wired box would win. But
Hmm.
for each round, they would set a different word inside the wired box. So in that sense, like wired and automated games, that wasn't always the case in Habbo. And I think if something would come to Origins, hypothetically, that would very likely be a better representation of what wired could be than actual wired currently inside Legacy.
Yeah, I agree. I think remembering what Wired started out as would be huge, and even like and honestly, a lot of the examples we're giving could be very much like a little bot in the room. You know what I mean? Like it could be like in a form of a box or a character or whatever. But I think I'll be honest with you, and I'll speak for myself. I want it. I want it. I
Yeah.
want. I don't need the extent of what's in Legacy, but having like something in terms of trivia, opening gates, standing in something as basic as those things, I really want in the game, and I think it would add a lot more fun. Because right now, one of our biggest issues, I don't really think it's a big issue on Legacy so much, just because there's multiple hotels, but in our hotel, time zones is a very big factor. So we have communities in Australia, we have communities in North America, we have communities obviously in Europe, and that's a lot of different, vastly different time zones. So when someone's hosting a game, for example, so let's say Dovak, he's a part of the creator circle, he's hosting a game. It's only going to fit and suit a certain region of people, right? But maybe there could be a game that
Mm-hmm.
can get developed that can be self-maintained. So let's say it's a riddle, let's say it's a maze that they have to like reach the end. That'd be kind of cool that it can be automated enough where it's very simple, where it's just you read the question, you answer it in the room, it automates whatever the response is. I think that can help solve the issue with time zones, because a lot of people in the Australia region have missed out on a lot, obviously due to the fact that when it's being hosted, of course.
Yeah, time zones. I think it's well, it's definitely not as much of an issue in Legacy Habbo, I think, but I have always been, well, always, not always, but a Dutch player, and we only had one time zone, so lucky me. But I know in .com and I think probably the Spanish hotel,
Yeah.
they have a lot of different time zones as well, but they are like at least I think they are large enough that at any point there was something to do in terms of a game or something that is hosted by someone. But yeah, I can imagine the issue there. That's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way I look at it, because we here at Origins is it's a very small community, right? It's a couple hundred people playing on .com, and typically like in the next around the next, let's say, 8 hours, in the next 8 hours it's gonna be okay. Like there'll be people here playing, but after 8 hours you're gonna see a significant drop in player counts, or people are just like AFK, or they're not really paying attention, right? So I think having something as basic as wired into the game introduced the right way could go a long way for people that don't live in the very popular time zones, and hopefully don't miss out on popular events either. Now, another question that I have here is, you've created different games, and I played some of them, to be honest with you. I think the one that's I was most addicted to was Flappy Bird. Were you the one that created Flappy Bird?
Yeah, if it's the one that like I created a Flappy Bird in long before the Wired project in I think 2015. So it
Okay.
was at that time it was pretty revolutionary, but because I had to be really creative with the buggy wires we had back then, and the system was very it was pretty interesting. Right now, it would be way easier to make, but if you're referring to to that Flappy
Yeah,
Birds, then yes.
I am, and I was so addicted to that game. I'm not gonna lie to you,
Oh,
and
wait, I'm happy to hear
yeah,
that.
it was very buggy like in sometimes, but it was like, oh man, I just wanted to get a high score. Another game that you created was Tetris, and I have a question from Active Girl where she
Okay.
asks why the score on your Tetris wired game is so high when the blocks move so fast, and she says she cries when she plays Tetris in the game room.
Well, there was one guy who made it kind of his obsession to own the game. I think on multiple accounts he has the highest scores, and he created like an extension for it to keybind it, so his keyboard arrow keys would control the blocks instead of the tiles inside the game.
Oh,
um,
smart.
and then that is not all, by the way. That is combined with a lot of training that he did, and also he rotated the screen so that it's like, so that basically the 2.5 dimension game that Habbo is becomes 2D game, so that everything is straight. And then that is how he had like 1,100 or something. I
Wow.
think. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's I yeah, Active Girl really wants that Tetris badge. So it's a fun game, and I played a few of the games that you've launched in there, and it's just cool playing a little mini game because in here in Origins we have the old school, so we have like, you know, the Battleship, we have Wobble Squabble, we have like very basic games. We also have Battle Ball, which I know you have in Legacy, but it's like a wired version, right? It's for us, we have like the traditional, the original Battle Ball type of game. So we have different versions here. So it's kind of cool to sing something like Tetris in Legacy because I think a lot of people would play Tetris in Origins if we had something very basic, of course, but if we had something like that, that would be huge.
Yeah, it could be interesting. By the way, I need to give a shout out to like the entire community right now, because
Yeah, yeah.
if you are in the Wired faculty server, I launched a competition a month ago, where they needed to create a multiplayer game with only black and white tiles, so two different furniture, and they can have one additional furniture. That's all. And the amount of submissions that I've got is like the amount of crazy good and fun games that have submitted is pretty insane. Like I'm like almost overwhelmed with like the amount of creativity and the amount of different types of games that people are really creating. So definitely when you refer to games, definitely don't refer only to me with Flappy Bird and Tetris, but there are so many. It's crazy.
Okay, that's huge. No, a huge shout out to everyone that has contributed. A huge shout out to the Wired community. I'm actually in that Wired Discord myself, but I don't. I just read and like I just admire. I sit from. I have no skills in Wired, but I like
Yeah,
to
well,
I like to see.
there is one channel for there was one channel for the challenge, and if you want to check them out, like they are all listed there because that's where people submit them.
Yeah, we'll
It's
definitely
really
check.
funny. Yeah.
We'll definitely check it out. And for everyone watching, I'll post a link in the description of the Wired Discord. So if you ever want to join in and just take a quick peek of what the community is putting together, I think that can go a long way. Active Girl also mentioned here the Flooded game with all the colors. I thought that's a fun game too. So there's a lot there. I think you did one. I don't know if it was you or if it was someone from the community, but there was that the one with the dominoes. I think that got recently launched a couple weeks ago. There was like a dominoes game where you have to like match certain numbers together and create a bit of a sequence.
I'm
I don't
not
know
even
if
sure which one you mean, but
no.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've seen it. Maybe I haven't. I don't know.
You do too much. But
Yeah, well, unfortunate. It's pretty unfortunate, but like at least past months, like well, like past more than a year probably. I've definitely been less of a player than than an employee. Like
yeah.
so I do have less time to actually play the games that I allow to exist, so, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's probably even busier now with all the 25th anniversary. Obviously, is around the corner, and that's obviously going to be very busy for your team. You know what I mean? Like, cause I can only imagine how busy it gets around this time. Like, and there's a lot you guys have planned. I don't know if you're planning anything game wise, but it's crazy to think that this game is now 25 years old in just a couple weeks. Like in about 15 days, we are 25 years old in this game, and that is wild to me. Like absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's literally crazy. I don't have any words for it.
Yeah, like I played this game in 2005, so I've literally 20 years of my life has been connected to one game. Like that is, it makes me feel old, but thankfully I still look young. So
Okay.
I'm very happy with that. I still have I'm still feeling good, but jokes aside, I definitely think when it comes to what Wired can bring to the game, it'll be an interesting topic. But another thing I wanted to dive into is, obviously we know that this game Origins is with Shockwave, and then with the Legacy, it's Unity based, right? Do you think
Well, that is not entirely true.
no? Okay, okay.
There we have two different versions at the moment. We have the Flash client and we have the modern client, which is the Unity client.
Got,
But most, around 90% of the user base currently is on the Flash. So actually, the previous version, the successor
gotcha.
of Shockwave, on that version. So yeah, we have two versions.
So I guess now Habbo has three. It has Shockwave, Flash, and Unity. So the Flash one
Yeah.
is the one that was very popular during my time as well. Is there going to be a time where, like, I'm kind of surprised that it's lasted so long. Like, is the goal was to move to Unity, like the whole game, right? Or no,
Mhm.
or they're going to still keep it separate.
Well, yeah, that was definitely. You're asking a very difficult question, because
You don't have to answer,
it was
brother.
supposed to. We were supposed to switch before I joined. Like 2020 was when Flash would
What's going to end? I
stop
remember that.
getting us. Yeah, it was gonna end, and that is after then. Like that's the moment they wanted to switch to Unity, and they did that for a while, and then
Yeah, I remember that.
the player base declined so quickly that they did an emergency action, and they brought the Flash client back, and then it stabilized again. But well, there is another nuance to that, because many decisions were taken that still affected the game for very long. So, but for example,
Right.
trading was removed and many achievements were disabled, and the list, there is literally a list, and it goes on and on. And
Right.
so there was, yeah, it was, there were two mistakes. First of all, the Unity client wasn't on point to replace Flash client. And the
Hmm.
second issue was the entire game design that was so wrong at the moment. So it's a combination of both that's blocked the switch. And
Gotcha.
I think it's still the, like, at least officially, the plan is still to switch as soon as Unity becomes the superior client
Right.
for playing Habbo.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I played the Flash version, I guess, still myself, and I love it. Like it still feels good to me personally. But I've always wondered if, like, the game we play, like I also play obviously on Origins, and I've always wondered if it would be beneficial for Origins to have started with the Unity client, but I'm not a coder, but so correct me if I'm wrong. But is it possible to create Origins with Unity, like having the look and feel of this game in the Unity coding, or no, or is that not possible?
Well, possible, yes. Everything is possible. With newer technologies, everything is possible. The real question is execution, and I think that is always the
Okay.
issue, because it was also possible to create an equal or better experience than Flash and Unity. And at least for now, we didn't succeed. We were like, they would definitely be able to do the same for Origins, but would it feel the same?
I guess it'd be
Unlikely,
tough.
except
Unlikely.
if they well, it's definitely possible. It just depends how much effort they put into it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I've always wondered that myself. Because in this game, you probably are not aware, but we have our limitations as sprites. So, like, if you build a room, for example, and you have a lot of Fernie in the room and a lot of things going on,
Hmm.
you have a limitation of 700 sprites. So, in this room right now, each of these Fernie items have a specific number of sprites attached to it. So, like this majestic chair that I'd be sitting in, let's say it's 4 sprites, and then let's say a duck is 1 sprite. As you're adding more items, it eventually fills up your sprite limit, and then eventually you can't put anything more, or because the game will start to crash or it'll start to be really slow and laggy, right? I don't obviously that's not an
Uh-huh.
issue on legacy like with Unity or with Flash. So I've always wondered if this game would benefit from something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens later down the road if that can ever happen for a game like this. Um, but yeah, I've always wondered if the look and feel can come with Unity because there are a lot of benefits of having a modern engine, right? At the end of the day.
Definitely. By the way, Flash client is also like on a different scale, but it is also suffering from lag, and the game is definitely getting too large. For like,
Oh, okay.
people are building larger and larger, and that has been a trend for I don't know how long. But people want to keep building larger and larger, and like the amount of Fernie that we can have in a room, I hear it almost monthly. I think that people want the Fernie limit increased, while I actually increased it previous year to 4,000 furniture. So not sprites, but furniture.
Wow.
Um, and I know, and it's a legitimate concern that people really want to go higher. I think if I raise it to 7,000, then next year people would want 10,000. Like, I'm not kidding. That is, they really want to go higher and higher. So Flash is also at that limit at the moment. So I
Oh, okay. I did not know
I am
that.
personally, if Origins would be looking for an alternative, and something that I would hypothetically have been a fan of for Flash client as well, was an HTML client which could run inside the browser again, because HTML technologies have also improved significantly. So games can basically run inside a browser pretty great as
Oh,
well.
that'd be pretty cool. And I didn't even think about a browser, but it would make things easier because right now we have to click on a launcher, right, in order to, launch the game itself. So having something in a browser could make life a little bit easier for a lot of people. I know also with Legacy, there's the mobile version. We don't have the mobile version here on Origins. So
Mhm.
I know we don't have that, which I do believe we need. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would love to fish on my phone. You know what I mean? Like being in the fishing room and just
Yeah,
start clicking my phone. But I obviously don't see that happening. But it could be that'd be interesting, an HTML client. I'm intrigued by it. I kind of like that. I kind of like that a lot actually. In terms of the game itself, is there anything that you wish the game had before you joined, like in 2011, or are you pretty happy where the game is right now? Like, despite the limitations with Flash, like, are,
oh,
are you happy with
that, yeah.
with everything? Like, or is there something that you're like, you know what? I like where I'm at, but I kind of want this. Or is there anything that Obviously, this is a very tough question, but
Yeah, that is a tough question. Well, it's not a tough question in terms of my answer. My answer is no, but well, I am not satisfied in a way that I think there are still so many things that need to be improved. I think I already mentioned it at an earlier point in this conversation, but on the social front of this game, like I think that in the early internet days, Habbo was probably, I don't know if, like, I think it's true, but I think that Habbo was kind of revolutionary because it created
yeah,
like social environments in a new way on the internet, also in a game kind of setting.
True.
And I think like we really lost that kind of social edge to the game, and in terms of like there is really no reason for just the social element of the game to be in Habbo, because we have so many other alternatives like Discord, like anything else really.
Yeah.
um and that really like I think that is actually a game killer, maybe, that there is no huge innovation on that front. And I that is something that I hope to I have actually done some proposals on that front, but I really want to improve there, and I hope that um, we will get Habbo there, um, on the social front. And well, this question is so complex because there are so many things. There are
Oh
so
yeah,
many
the game's
things.
so big. Yeah,
I
this
think
game's
that
so
is
big.
the main one, is along with room creation, and Wired needs to still needs to improve and improve, and we need to get to a point where literally anything is possible. And I think
Yeah.
we can get, like, I'm pretty sure we can get there. It just it's gonna take a little bit more time. And um I think the third issue is kind of the I don't know, the kind of what we also mentioned as well, that Flash is getting too slow.
Yeah.
There is
There's
too much
limitations.
lag,
Yeah.
in the game. People complain about it too much. There are too many inefficient things. There is a lot to improve there. And then maybe a fourth thing, something I've been critical about as a player always, is the how strong the moderation is. Well, strong is a weird word, because the criticism goes on both sides, because we have auto moderation,
Yeah.
which sometimes doesn't do enough, but then also the filtering of the words makes it so Habbo is not the ideal place to communicate with people, because a lot of stuff doesn't go through the filter, and that is going to be critical as well, kind of hooking into that social aspect of the game. But yeah, there are so many things I think that we need to improve. And why I'm saying this is that I truly believe that Habbo could actually grow again, like big time. I think this game still has a lot of potential, because of the niche it is in, kind of.
True.
If a game has a certain niche and then really executes it really well to really make a really fun experience, I think everything can succeed. But I think Habbo kind of has that, like,
It's
kind
true.
of
There's
should kind of
no.
know where to go to kind of reach that goal.
I agree. There is no game like Habbo, right? There's no game that allows you to really
Hmm.
build rooms in this very old school cartoony design, right? That allows you to also socialize and trade and kind of build a world within a world. And you're right. I think Habbo has its potential, and I love all the examples that you gave in terms of improving not only the software, the engine of the game itself in order to reduce lag, but also the moderation, the back end side, and also the social aspect. And I do believe the game hasn't fully lost the social aspect, like someone in the chat, Cramdos, has mentioned there. But I do believe it is being affected by, and like you mentioned, Discord, right? And other platforms in general, right? There's so many other social
Yeah.
platforms that are affecting it. There's Twitter as well, right? That where people are communicating with each other. Obviously, Habbo uses Twitter a lot. I know yourself, myself, a lot of us use it. um, when it comes to the social aspect, I think there definitely can be a way to improve it. So I'm looking forward to seeing where Habbo goes from here. In terms of everything of the game, like you were a player to begin with, and obviously you work for the company. Aside from Wired, which I know you love and you love supporting it, what is your favorite thing about Habbo? Like whether you're a player or not, what's your favorite thing? Like your let's say your top three things, if it's too hard to think of just one.
That is such a hard question. I actually have no clue. Wait. Wait, let me think. What, like
I'm a
20
tough
seconds?
interviewer.
20
Yeah, yeah.
seconds.
Take your thought there. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give. I'll
you
give
are
some.
you're really a tough interviewer.
Uh, I'll give some shout outs in the chat here for everyone listening, watching while Sir Jonas thinks of his favorite things in Habbo. I am asking him some tough questions. We are doing this live, but he's been a good sport about everything. So huge shout out to Skins in the chat here. I see Kramdos. I see Calypsomon, Active Girl. A huge shout out there. Gustavo, Ray Panda, thank you so much for subscribing. Don BJ, good to see you. Jeremu, thank you so much. A huge shout out to everyone watching live. Really means a lot to us. And then here on the YouTube side, we have Allison, we have DHEA speed runs, we have Sofa, good to see you, buddy. We have GL Raider, we have Anna Beatrice, huge everyone. Thank you so much for basically commenting, supporting here. I can't read all the messages while I'm here interviewing Jonas, but I'm looking through it as we go by and seeing what fits into the conversation itself. So thank you to everyone that's listening on the YouTube side as well as on the Twitch side. All right, just thank you so much. Now, Jonas, what is your favorite
Yeah,
thing
I
of
I
Habbo?
was kind of like, I'm always impressed like how good some people can fill up the time by talking. I was impressed by you like keeping it going while giving me some time to think.
No worries.
Yeah,
Hey, I do this for a
I have
living, so it's
like
all good.
I have thought of three things, so I reached the goal.
All right, you reached it. All right, what is it? Number one.
Well, number one is an obvious one that I cannot deny personally, because when I started, I think like after a year, what I got really into is finding bugs in the game. Finding bugs in the game. I had a on the Dutch game, I had a room 40 bugs or something, where I would just display all the bugs that existed inside Habbo, or that I could find, or that someone else found. And that was for a good while. That was actually a really popular room, and I got banned for it multiple times. So bugs. That sounds very weird, but it was a weird kind of interest of mine to find bugs.
That makes
That is
sense though.
also why Geord exists nowadays. That kind of comes forward from that passion. Then the
Okay.
second one has to be room creation, and then
Yeah.
I don't. Well, this was gonna be excluding wired, and then also room creation. I think I am myself. I am not a very good creator. Like, I don't compare at all to all these people who create like these amazing rooms. I really don't know how some people are so like full of creativity that they can pump out the most crazy rooms that exist. I'm not like that, but I still really like, and definitely in the early days, like building rooms. And I don't know, there is something to it that is really fun, and I think it's kind of core game that you try to make the best room to try to gather people inside your room and
100%.
organize whatever activities. So that is definitely the second one. And then the third one, obviously, is the friends you meet along the way.
Oh, I like that one. I like that. There, you know what?
Yeah, that has to be the third
I
one.
that has to be. You know what? It has to be. No, I agree with you. I think all of the ones you touched on are good. Like the bugs. I think it's fun finding things that are wrong with the game and then impacting it, right? Like finding a solution, right? I think that's always fun because then you're impacting it in your own way. The room building, there's
Mhm.
no question. Room building is such a big factor of the game. So I'm glad that's in your list too, because there are some talented people out there. Like I've browsed
It is
around some
crazy.
rooms and I'm just like, holy shit, like this is amazing. Like wow,
It's
there's so
crazy.
many
It's
talented
crazy.
people. Like, and what people have done with there's this, I think someone I saw the other day, someone built like a Pokemon like room, like with the Pokemon Center, and it was like a live version of the game. Like I don't know, like it's people are just too intense for me. And I'm here, I build like very basic rooms in Origins, and I know Legacy is at a whole different category when it comes to room building. And then finally, the friends along the way, I agree with you too. Like there's been I had no intention to really play this game for a long time. But obviously, there's some people that you meet along the way, and you converse. And even though Discord
Mhm.
has maybe negatively affected Habbo in some ways, it does add to the social aspect in another way as well. Like it allows people to share ideas, converse. Kind of like you and me right now. We wouldn't be able to do this in the
Well,
game,
yeah,
right?
being able to keep in touch with the people from Habbo also keeps you in touch with the
Exactly.
game itself, and then
Exactly.
brings you back. So I definitely wouldn't see like Discord as a negative thing. I would see it as like an a really big improvement, like that we can also converse over other platforms, and then that way our mind kind of stays Habbo in a way.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, like because if you think about it, if we were to do this podcast in the game, we would have to type everything that we're saying right now, rather than
Oh
being able
no.
to oh no, exactly, right. And it's nice that we can be in a Discord channel talking like we are and
Yeah.
streaming it live for everyone else to just watch and listen to our ideas and our feedback and in terms of what we're talking about in terms of all these questions. So it's although I know there are some differences that people have in terms of their opinion, I do feel there is a way to kind of benefit from both sides, that we're clearly doing right now. But no, I love
Definitely.
the three, so I'm glad I gave you your 20 seconds to think of the three items.
I think
I
it was more than 20 seconds, but I
Yeah, a little
appreciate
bit
you
more.
giving me the time.
No, no, no worries at all. Now, in terms of the your username itself, you obviously you have Sir Jonas XX. You have, I think you said Super Jonas. Like, where did this like this username come from? Like, I need to like I'm so confused by it. Why like did someone take did someone
Yeah,
take
okay.
Sir Jonas? Like, did you want Sir Jonas and someone took it, so then you added the XX? Like, why if there is a story, why that username?
Well, there was a story, but it is the lamest story that you will hear this evening. Well, not evening for you, but maybe for some people. I just literally I created my account. It asked for a name. I typed in Jonas, and it said like Jonas is taken. Do you want to pick Sir Jonas XX? And that is where my name comes from.
That is hilarious. But when you got to the role that you're in now, did you ever think about just changing the name? Like, because you obviously probably are able to
No,
choose any name. No,
never.
you're just like, I'm gonna stick to it. I'm happy with it.
No, it's a weird name when I created it, but like then I kind of got used to it. Like that is now who I am.
Yeah, yeah, and it's on your Twitter
Yeah.
too. I know that as well. So, or X or whatever we want to call it nowadays. But I do know that's what you use there. So I think it's now you've embodied this username. Like
Hmm.
how we
Definitely.
have,
I would
right? So
never make like a name that isn't Sir Jonas. That would feel like I'm suddenly being a different person or something.
true, true, true.
I
I see
don't
what you're
know.
saying. I see what you're saying. I agree. Like I think for me, so my username is obviously Spidercides, but my original username in 2005, as embarrassing as it sounds, was colon Latino colon. So I wanted the username
That is
Latino,
nice.
but it was taken. So I added colons thinking like, oh yeah, this would be cool. And it wasn't. As I grew up, I was just like, I hate this username so much because of the colons. I want a clean username. And when Origins happened, I I didn't get the name I wanted, so I ended up doing colon Latino colon. So I own that account here in the game as well. But then I'm like, well, on everything, on PlayStation, on Steam, on all the platforms that I play, my username is Spidercides, as well as my Twitter, my YouTube, everything else. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna switch to
Yeah,
Spidercides, and I love
I
this
think
name
that
so much
makes a lot of
more.
sense. Yeah.
Right? I love Spider-Man. That's my thing. I'm a nerd. I have everything Spider-Man related. I just own so much of it. I'm addicted to Spider-Man. If there's something I'm more addicted to video games, it's Spider-Man. And I'm happy with my username now. So I'm always intrigued, and I do this on every podcast, is ask the person, where did they create their username, right? Where did it come from? And I'm always I guess with your story, it wasn't really that revolutionary since you just chose
No, no,
a
it wasn't.
secondary option, but it's definitely refreshing to see where people come up with. Now, in terms of another aspect, I don't think you're going to have much to talk about in terms of this topic, but I am curious to see what your thoughts are, and it's going to be a tough one, but I don't think it's to be controversial
Okay,
at all. As you know,
okay,
Origins is going on Steam, so Maccleby has teased that this game is going to go on Steam. He hasn't announced a date, he
yeah.
hasn't announced when, but obviously it's been a topic that people have been intrigued by. Now, do you see Legacy ever having the ability of going onto Steam as well, or do you think it'll just be an Origins thing because that's just it's good to keep it both separate? Like, what's your thoughts on Steam,
I
the environment? What do you think about that?
I remember thinking about that exact thing like 2 years ago or something. Like, would it be interesting if Habbo was on Steam? And I haven't given it much thought since. I am unsure. I think it could, like, the good thing is that it could open up like your game to a lot of new users,
Yeah,
users who may have played Habbo in the past and then think, oh, Habbo still exists.
yeah.
And then people who are playing Steam also see in their friend list that this guy is playing Habbo, and then they think, oh,
True,
that guy
true,
is
true.
playing Habbo. Habbo still exists. I'm gonna pop up as
I
well.
wonder. I wonder if it'll scare
So
people. Wait,
yeah,
what is he playing?
I think
I,
generally it would, at least at the time, I thought that would be an awesome thing if Habbo comes to Steam, and I think it's awesome that Origins is going to Steam. I haven't been following a lot of it. I just saw a message coming by that it was going to be on Steam. I think that can, like, basically only be a good thing. I wish we had the same thing for Habbo. I think, but I don't see it happening anytime soon for Legacy Habbo.
Yeah, and I see here in the chat here, I believe it's Bab saying that games involving any type of crypto or NFT, which is our collectibles in Legacy, it can't go on Steam.
Uh-huh.
So until that changes, I guess that pretty much solves that question in terms of can that game go on? Probably not until that rule ever changes. So I think with Origins going
Yeah,
on
or
to
you would
Steam, it'll
need
be
to kind
interesting.
of you would need to kind of exclude the NFT side then if you wanted to do
Yeah,
it on Steam. But yeah, that's a valid point. I wasn't even aware of that. Yeah.
yeah, I wonder because there could be workarounds because I know Counter Strike kind of has an NFT type of system, and that's on Steam, right? So I think there's a way around it. Who knows? I'm no expert, so I'm not even going to pretend like I know anything. But in terms of Origins
Mhm.
going onto Steam, my only concern with Steam is yes, number one, it can bring more eyes to the game. Number two, I think if Mackleby's listening to this, my advice is the game needs to definitely be at a very good standpoint, both on the social side of the game with communities and then on the back end side where the game needs to
Oh
be
yeah, definitely.
not bug free because nothing's ever bug free, but to the point where it can be presentable, right? And I think once it gets
Mhm.
to be more presentable, I think that's where Steam can accept it. Because I don't know if you play Steam games, but that community is unlike any community for any game. Steam communities are at a whole new level, right? And I think
Mhm.
in order for us to embrace that in a good way, is to ensure that the game is ready, right? We want to package it up nice and easy, and then see what happens, right? I'm very curious to see what Habbo can be like on Steam. Um, I'm intrigued by it, to say the least. I'm a little nervous, but I'm optimistic.
Do you know when this is happening?
No, he hasn't said.
Or any okay, okay. Okay.
No, he hasn't said.
Well, I
So
don't know as well. I was asking out of interest.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, I haven't.
I think you make
I
a good point, by the way.
yeah,
You make a good point about the game definitely needs to be very solid. Like, if you kind of want to take advantage of the
yeah,
moment where you release something on Steam.
because you want them to stick around, right? You want them to log into the
Yeah.
game, be excited, being like, oh, you want them to ask questions and be involved. And I think until it gets there, and it's moving towards the right direction. Like we've included some cool features in Origins as of late, like fishing, obviously, the bulletin board, and some other moderation aspects that Matthew brought into the game. I think there is potential. I don't think we're there yet. I think it would have been I think it would have been awesome if it launched during our 1 year anniversary for the game in June. If we were there yet, obviously we're not. I think the perfect time to launch that would be in 2026. I think in January. I think you start the year strong. But again, Maccleby hasn't shared any dates or anything about that. He only shared a screenshot of what it looks like in Steam, like in the
Hmm.
directory. I'll share that with you in our Discord messages. I'll share with you what he shared with us. But it's it'll be interesting. Like I said, I'm optimistic to see what the game can do in that format. I think also like here's my idea. So I ended up actually filling out a feedback form, and for everyone listening and watching right now, feel free to agree with me or disagree with me. No worries at all. So my idea would be that if you launch it on Steam, there's a couple criteria that you need to cover. Number one, I think buying credits, you need to have it embedded with Steam. So rather than right now for Origins, we have to go to the Origins website in order to buy credits. So it's not like
Mhm.
mobile or anything where you could buy things in different ways. For us, we have to go to the website. So I think if it comes to Steam, we need to have it in Steam to allow us to buy things. Number two, I
Mhm.
also think we should. It's this is gonna be controversial, but I think we should allow us to use the moderation from Steam. So in Steam, when you get banned in a game, for example, you get an infraction. So you get basically on your profile on Steam, it's negatively affected. So I think that could also help
Okay.
with moderation. That if you ban someone in Habbo, no one wants to get banned in a game that affects their Steam account. But I think if we link both those together, it might help. It might prevent people from trolling, being disrespectful when knowing that it would affect their Steam account in the long run. And then number three, I think, in terms of the game itself, I think we need to get rid of the launcher for Origins. I think the game needs to be fully opened up in Steam. So when I click on the game in Steam, it opens the game directly, which I think would happen anyways. I would assume
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
but
I would think so as well.
I think so, but yeah, and I see someone in the chat here saying VAC bans, which is what Steam would attach to the profile, are nice to apply. It would just make people not to connect the two, and for sure. And I know that's a controversial topic. I think that is one that I can be okay either way, but the launcher needs to go. Like I think that'd be awesome just to get rid of that and have it fully invested where you just open up the game and then seeing where it goes, but. That's where my
I,
thoughts are, you know. So
yeah, I don't have a doubt that if it comes to Steam, then that the launcher would go. That would feel kind of off if it still had a launcher because Steam is kind of the launcher, right?
exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm curious about. And then I know when it comes to the Steam community and environment, we would have to just want to make sure that the game's at the right place. But I think we're in the right spot. I think the only tough part is, and as everyone knows, Maccleby is pretty much the main person. He's the one person really like running the show for Origins. So hopefully down the
Hmm.
road, that your team or Maccleby's team in general gets the ability to kind of add more people to help support it. Because I think Sulake's team in general is small, right? You guys are not a huge team in general, and you guys are running like technically three different games right now. You have Habbo X, you got Legacy, and you have Origins, right? It's that's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Well, I think the team itself, I think we are a decent size, like the company itself, but the I think, oh, this is my personal view, of course. We are definitely low on development hours, development resources.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a really good point, and I hope that we both for Origins and Legacy. I'm still saying legacy, but it's not actually legacy, right?
Yeah, yeah, no,
Um,
I know, I got you. For everyone listening, oh, him and I
yeah.
agreed. We'll just call it legacy because, to me, and the reason I
Well,
called it
it's
legacy, it's. I know it's not legacy. I know it's modern essentially. I call it legacy because it's technically the original game, right? Like Habbo itself is the original game. It just grew to this version, right? And then Origins is
yeah.
Origins, and then Habbo X. No one really plays on Habbo X, to be honest, but I know that's more the collectibles, the NFT side, right? But I know you and
Yeah.
we're calling it legacy just to call it, just to make it easy for everyone to understand.
I'm explicitly mentioning it as an employee because I saw internal conversation about like what is our official naming, and we were clear that what we are calling legacy now is actually called Habbo, just Habbo, and then Origins is
Okay.
called Origins. But I don't want to confuse people here since it's an Origins podcast. So,
Yeah.
but I just want to make
Make it clear.
sure
Yeah. No. No.
that
No
I
worries.
that I don't get contacted internally like, oh, why are you saying it's legacy now? People call it legacy. Yeah.
No, no, it's all. And to be honest with you, even if you told people like, "Hey, everyone, call this Habbo," everyone will still call it modern or legacy. You can't. It'll never change, like, at the end of the day. So,
Okay.
but as long as you're good, don't even sweat it. But yeah, no. When it comes to Habbo versus Origins, I think when it comes to it, there's so many differences to the game itself, but there's so many similarities that we offer on both sides. Is there? You obviously played a little bit on Origins, like walking around and
Mhm.
stuff. Were you like, in terms of visuals, in terms of like the game itself, is there a feature that you wished Origins would have? Like, do you hope that something comes into the game? Obviously, nothing's being in development right now, but is there something that I don't know, you're like, you know what, walking around, I think this game could have this or that.
Well, I haven't logged in since this was added, or I don't know if it's already added. But you mentioned it earlier. The bulletin boards I think
Yep.
is awesome, and I wish we had something similar for Habbo, because people really. I think that people do not read the news. So like the portion of Habbo that happens in the web, I think people
Yeah,
just
I
don't read
agree.
it. I maybe the core user base reads it, but I think there are so many important messages. You don't need to like you wouldn't need to display everything inside the game for Legacy. I don't know how it is for Origins, but I think it would be very useful if at least important announcements would be done inside the game as well.
I like that. I
Um,
agree.
there are plenty of games where, and I've mentioned this internally before, where if there is like a big update or something, you actually get some kind of mail or something, and you get an unread notification. You need to click it, and you need to actually just, if you read it or not doesn't matter. You just need to click it, and then you can close it, or you can actually read it. But then you're kind of incentivized to actually see what's happening, because and definitely they shouldn't, definitely if something like that will come, they shouldn't overuse it. But for important stuff, I think that is awesome. And by the way, I love how the bulletin board, is it called that, by the way?
Yeah, it's called
I love
bulletin
how
board.
it's
Yeah.
I love how it's designed. I think it's awesome, and it really shows that personal touch again in Origins that I definitely wish we had more of inside Legacy as well.
Yeah, huge shout out to Dreads, who is the designer of that feature
Oh,
in
really?
terms of like
I
what it
didn't
looks. So
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
so huge
that's
shout out
awesome,
to
man.
Dreads there. So yeah, no, I love it too. I think it kind of just makes things easy to just see all the articles, and then like what's happening in the game. There's also like a little calendar that you can click on, and you could see when staff events are happening, for example. So I think that would be that's pretty exciting to say the least. But I think what's cool about Origins is, although like for someone like myself that played in 2005, this game is already very different than when I played. Like the look and feel is similar, but we didn't have fishing back then. We didn't have nameplates. We didn't have a bulletin board. We didn't have daily tasks, right? We didn't have
Hmm.
this, all these features that we do now, and it's kind of crazy to think that this game, although it is brought back from the dead, it is refreshed, right, in a different way. And I'm looking forward to seeing some other features. There's one thing I do want to come into the game. You guys ended up removing it on Habbo, but it was a snowstorm. I love Snowstorm myself. At least the,
Yeah,
the old nostalgic one that was back in the day. That's what I hope that comes into Origins eventually. But that's something that I love throwing snowballs at people. Like it was just so much fun. It was so different. I'm a battle ball guy
well,
too, but the Snowstorm is my number one.
Snowstorm was it on Shockwave initially? You probably know. I think so.
I think so. I think they were the ending, yeah, and then it was more popular into the Flash side. For anyone in the chat, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was in the ending years of Shockwave, that
Yeah,
it
if
was
it
around, if
was
I'm not
there,
mistaken.
then would be pretty awesome to just, well, if someone has the client that was used back then, it would probably be possible to copy it over or something. But maybe that is the harder question if someone has that. Or
Yeah, and
yeah, I don't know.
I know Maccabee
But
says
I
like
can imagine that would be awesome
yeah,
for the
I
origins.
know
Yeah.
I know Maccabee says it's they can put it in like it's there it seems, but I
Oh,
guess
okay, okay.
I guess we'll have to just see and in terms of what improvements need to be made, and I think he wants the game to be sticky enough in terms of before he puts something like that, because that's obviously a very
Yeah.
popular feature. So it'll be interesting to say the least.
Well, I can kind of get where he potentially is coming from. I don't know. I don't know this if this is correct, but at least in Habbo, they introduced Snowstorm a few years ago. I think
Yep,
back
yep,
into the game, and we removed it pretty recently.
yep.
That is not because we want to get rid of the game, but we were noticing that like there was no incentive to play, and then the game got kind of that, and it would we considered that it would be smarter to have it as a seasonal thing, that every now and then you could play Snowstorm, and then a lot of people would play, hopefully,
Yeah,
instead of always having the game up and then nobody playing the game, because
true.
then it's never fun for anyone,
And
right?
then with that, you can add a little
Yeah.
incentive to get people on. So I agree. I think having a seasonal base, I think, can work a lot better. So I 100% agree with that. Now, in terms of another question I have here is, let me just see, where did I find it here? Oh yeah, this is a controversial one. It's an interesting one. In terms of what do you feel when it comes to third party software, like G Earth has been something, right? I know
Yeah.
that I don't want to go into the topic of all that stuff there, but in terms of third party software supporting a game, is that something that you think could ever benefit, or do you feel that learning what people want is probably the best avenue, and then trying to use
Well,
wired and different aspects into the game?
I well, obviously, before I start talking, I am in probably the most biased position you can be,
Mm.
um, because I created G-Art. And
And that's why the question came up. So
yeah, like my personal belief, and I'm gonna distance myself from like, I'm not saying this representing
yeah,
Sulake
yeah, of
or
course,
anything like that.
yeah,
I love the idea of party tools. I think in many games they bring great additions to the game. The issue with Habbo was that scripting. Well, when you use third party tools in Habbo, it's called scripting. That is different
yeah,
from other games. It's not really called scripting ever.
yeah,
But here it was called scripting because I guess the reason people used it kind of gave it a reason to be called something differently, because people who were scripting and Habbo were usually doing something bad for a very long time.
yeah.
They were trying
Disrupting the
to
game.
yeah, disrupting the game every single time. So, well, 90% of the time that was the purpose of scripting, and I think that is the reason. Like, I don't even think I know that is the reason why third-party tools have such a bad name inside Habbo, and that kind of still lingers in people's minds when they think of it. But for the past years, that is simply not the case anymore. With G Earth, we really like, there is no place inside the G Earth Discord server for any kind of disruptive playing of the game with G Earth.
Nice.
It's only improving the game. Basically, we have an official extension store. I'm not trying to promote this, by the way, but I'm just saying it where only friendly extensions are allowed. So tools that really enhance your game and improve the way you play the game, and very often, more than not, actually contribute to the game. So for the past couple of years, a lot of builders, and I haven't gone on like a promotion tour or anything like that, but they use building tools which ultimately make it so there are better events inside Habbo, which in its own term contributes to the longevity of this game. So in
Yeah,
that sense, I definitely think that third-party tools, yeah, it's not even a thought. Like, they do contribute to the game. That is a certainty. You can see it in other games as well. At least the games that I have played, I'm not a massive gamer, but I've played a few games extensively, and in any one of those, they have third-party tools that actually contribute to the game as well, and where like the best players of the game are also using it, and it's accepted. It's so personally, I am like,
you're biased,
I
but
I am very biased, but I also think it's a bit ridiculous to have a really bad idea of it when it's
where there could
not
be some
really being
benefits.
used badly. One thing that I will acknowledge is that people feel at a disadvantage when they do not want to download Geart, for example, for building. And that, yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the other aspect is in our TOS. I can't remember if it's on Habbo's TOS, but on Origins TOS, like we can't. Well, there's a gray area, but it's essentially against TOS for us to use G Earth in Origins,
well,
right?
it's on Legacy as well.
Yeah.
And in most games, it is actually against the terms of service,
Oh,
even
okay.
when they do have it, and even when it is acceptable.
Yeah,
Well,
and
not
that,
in all, but I know in plenty it is.
yeah, and that's why I hope, like, for me, like, I think there's some benefits when it comes to G Earth in general. I've never used it myself, but I've seen like what people can do. Obviously, aside from disruption of a game, I think there are some benefits that it can bring, or at least teach us, right? Like, there are some cool aspects that the game can, like, that software can do, that you go, you know what? Maybe this is a feature that can be implemented in the game itself.
Yeah,
So I think
definitely.
I think it can inspire. Maybe it's not something. Maybe, of course, it's against TOS. So for anyone listening, watching, Jonas is not promoting this or anything like that. We're just having a candid conversation. But in terms of the software itself, I think it can inspire what the potential is and what the potential can be in so many different games, not even just Habbo.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Right.
completely agree, and I will spoil this, but I am planning. Well, I have a feature ID for Habbo that basically brings the most powerful tools from Geart to Habbo. It's not an execution yet, but the idea is solid, and it will basically, whenever I get to it, it will really improve building, and that is like the reason I kind of know how that should look, is because I've made it for Geart, and I've used it, and I've seen like what could be better. This is great. We really need this inside Habbo natively, and so on. So it really helps. Yeah,
Oh, it's like a beta. It's like you're like testing the
yeah,
waters
definitely.
a little
You
bit.
could
Okay,
definitely
I
think of it like that.
I, I can see that. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it allows us to just learn what the potential is, and then seeing what the community feedback is, and then you can
Hmm.
obviously bring it natively in the game, so that way more players can actually, like, interact, engage, and actually participate in something like that. So I'm in full support of seeing what can do. Now, for everyone in the chat that's just coming in, yeah, I huge shout out to everyone coming in. We have Perfectionist, Tyler. We got David here, and on the YouTube side, Kiori. For anyone listening, watching, that just coming in, we've been talking about a couple different topics right now. We've talked about the basic wired in Origins and wired in general. Just to summarize, Wired is not coming to Origins, so please do not have a panic attack. It's not coming to Origins, but we just talked about the idea of having something very basic. So feel free to listen back in the beginning if you're just coming in right now. We've also talked about the idea and the differences between Origins and Habbo. We've been calling Habbo Legacy for this just to make it a little bit easier for people to understand, but just for anyone internally watching, Jonas does not call Habbo Legacy. He's just doing it. He's just doing it for me. Okay.
Yeah.
And then for everyone else watching as well, we've also talked about the Wired games, and we've also talked about the engines: Shockwave, Flash, excuse me, and as well as Unity, and seeing how a game can flourish in different aspects. So I see a lot of people joining into both streams, and I just want to make sure to make that very clear. And then we talked a little bit on G Earth because Jonas was the creator of G Earth, but not to dive in. There's no promotion of G Earth. I don't use it myself, but just to understand that it can be an inspiration to the game's features and understanding what the capabilities are. So, now, there is another question, and it was actually in my notes here, and someone just asked it right now.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't even know if you're gonna have an answer for this, but in 2005 and onwards in Shockwave, we had, excuse me, we had photos, right? We have photos in the game, right? And
Yeah.
during the merge, those photos got lost. And I know recently you launched an update, or Habbo launched an update that allowed you to look back at old pictures, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
is there a reason why we can't see old pictures from merged hotels? Like, for example, I was from .ca and merged into .com. So in my photos in the game, I can't
Hmm.
see anything. Is there a fix that's going to happen with that, or is there a reason why that doesn't work?
Well, I actually I don't know if they are like, I know that they actually disabled it at a certain point. I don't know if it's back up already. And I also didn't know that merch hotels didn't show up in the photos.
Yeah, so I only see a
And I really
description on
don't have
mine.
an answer for you. I don't have an
Okay.
answer for you there, but I imagine that maybe it's possible
Okay.
to find those photos again as well and host them. But I really don't have an answer for you there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
No, and
sorry.
I appreciate the honesty there. And it looks like it wasn't even for merged hotels only. It looks like some people in ES also didn't wasn't able
Oh,
to either.
really?
So I guess we'll see. Maybe they disabled it, and maybe hopefully they'll enable it back, because I saw some photos pop up for people, and then like for myself, I can only see the description. I don't see the photo. Like the photo doesn't like show anything, but then it shows the description of like what the photo was that I had. So hopefully that
At
comes
least you
up.
have that.
Yeah, at least I got something. But and I also have, thankfully I have trophies. So trophies at least have some memories in there, but I'm very curious what crazy pictures I took when I was younger. Like 20 years ago. I can't even remember any of the pictures that I've ever taken, and I'm so curious what stuff I took in
Yeah,
2005. I'd love to know.
I can totally imagine that. And by the way, I think obviously Origins, like a very important aspect of Origins is nostalgia, but it is also for Legacy Habbo. So
Yeah,
all kinds of ways to get users back who used to play and really have some good memories inside Habbo. Um, this is such a feature that is really for those players, in my opinion. Like,
I agree.
it really brings a bit of the personality back. Yeah,
I agree.
so
I
it's
think it's fun.
definitely exciting.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's different, you know. Like you can create memories out of so many different things in the game. Right now, I just take
Hmm.
screenshots, but I thankfully in Origins we can take pictures and it shows up, so that's nice. But yeah, I'm curious to see if we can see the old ones maybe later on. Maybe it'll get fixed. Now
I
for
will I will
everyone,
ask about the merch hotels. I will ask someone about it
yeah, yeah, I
because I'm
appreciate that.
interested as well now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, if you can, yeah, feel free to let me know, and then I'll share it with the community on our side here. But
All right.
for anyone listening and watching, we're nearing the end of the podcast episode. This is episode 9 of the Quack podcast. Feel free. I'm going to open the floor up in the chat in YouTube and in Twitch. If you have any questions for Jonas, feel free to put it in. However, I'm going to preface here: I will not ask all questions. I will read before I ask them, because I'm not going to just ask Jonas anything. I'm going to make sure that this is as appropriate as possible. Okay. So feel free to write your questions in here right now. Any questions, and then we'll read a few there. Now, Jonas, while everyone is basically writing up some questions for you, some tough questions. I think the toughest questions were mine in this podcast, so hopefully you don't regret
Yeah, you had some tough
coming on.
questions.
Hopefully you don't you don't regret coming on the episode. But
No, definitely not. I am an open book, by the way. Well, what limits? But I like some tough questions. I think they were good. And if
appreciate it.
anyone has another tough question, you can go ahead and ask.
One thing I will say that I admire about you is I always read your conversations on X. Man, that sounded creepy, me saying that. I when it pops in my feed, I read your conversations, and I do admire your responses. I think there was one conversation. We won't dive into it so much, but I know Ecotron is coming into Habbo, and you had a
Oh yeah,
conversation with people
yeah.
about ducats being utilized, which I think is a smart play in order to minimize abuse in the actual system itself. But you had a long conversation with a couple different individuals on X, and I just wanted to say, like, I appreciate people that work for a game and still interact with the community in a professional manner, even if it's for
Mhm.
topics that are very tough. Like they're not sunshine and rainbow topics. There's a tough topic
Well,
that you're going back
it's
and
in
forth.
those it's for those topics that they need it, right?
Yeah,
There was clearly some discontent from some users who didn't like, well, the Ducats edition,
yeah,
and I feel like I just needed to explain what the reasoning was behind that, because in my opinion this was really the best kind of balance that could have been made. So I am pretty happy actually with this solution.
hmm
So I just wanted to give them the clarity, like why was this decision made. That's probably pretty important as well.
yeah.
And I
Let's
hope
provide.
people can appreciate the, not just me explaining it, but the actual solution of this minor ducat tax.
I completely appreciate it. Like, coming from me, like seeing context as well as like kind of like the behind the scenes of like where the idea came from is nice. Like it provides a little bit more transparency, which I know some players love to see from people that gaming developers essentially. So I definitely appreciate that side, and I know not everyone's going to love the answer you give, but it's the fact that you're providing it on your own free time. And by the way, you don't even have to do stuff like that, but you do it anyways, and
No,
that
no.
that that is nice. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, I hope everyone listening and watching, like, appreciate that Jonas has, number one, willing to come on a live podcast, and number two, has been willing to answer these tough questions, but in a very professional manner. And I want us to, for anyone listening and watching, let's go forward and trying to just improve the way we communicate with developers, whether it's this game or any game. Now, I see here a few questions that have come in. Let's see what tough questions we have. Well, this one was answered earlier, but Perfection has asked if do you play Habbo incognito, like on a secret account, or do you play on your main account? I think that was pretty much answered earlier. You typically play
Yeah,
on your regular account, like you have no, like
always,
you always just play on
always.
your main. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's to answer your question, Perfectionist. Yeah, Sir Jonas is he's a player when he can be. Less now than months ago, but he definitely plays on his main account. Um, I have another good question here. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this, but this is a good one. What's next for Wired? Do you have any sneak peeks
Ooh.
for the Habbo players that you want to just share? Like maybe one
Well,
sneak peek. I don't know
I
if you're
had a
allowed. I know it's a tough one, but feel free.
No, it's fine. Well, I won't leak something. I won't say what it is. And
Hmm.
something has already been announced, which is that for a while now I've been working on this feature to basically um, allow wired rewards and payments and trading. So
Oh,
really
I heard about
involving the
this.
economy of the game inside Wired. And that is such a massive update because it really touches more areas than just Wired. It's so huge. It is actually, I think, the biggest update that Habbo has seen in many,
I
many
love
years. It
that.
is at least from my merge requests, in which you can see how many lines of codes were added. In those objective terms, it is the largest feature
I think
probably
that's
ever.
awesome. That is huge. I think
Um,
that is
so
absolutely massive.
I'm super 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 excited for that one. That is basically finished at this point. Well, code wise, it is definitely not finished in terms of you're gonna see this tomorrow. There are still some things that still need to happen, like art and stuff like that, and testing,
Right.
and some security related things as well. That has been a big topic for this as well. So that is coming, and right now I am working, and then I'm spoiling a little bit because I haven't announced this, but it's very minor. Well, not minor, but it's a kind of niche specifically for the dedicated Wired creators. I am doing significant additions to the Wired creator tools, so that is something to really look forward to, and they are also kind of incentivized by the Wired trading payments and rewards update that is coming at a
Cool.
later time. Because when we have that, like, you want to have a way more precise management of, like, for example, you have a imagine you have like an RPG inside Habbo where people have coins inside your game, right?
Hmm.
And they can convert these coins to actual credits. Then you want to have an overview, like, what are people their, like, virtual currency inside my game at this point. And if you see that someone has 1 billion, then well, something is wrong and you need to do something fast. So it's kind of for the security reasons of it that I'm prioritizing these new features right now.
That is exciting. So thank
But
you
it's
so much
it's
for the
huge. It's
question, Active
huge.
Girl. That
So
yeah,
so many huge things are coming. It is really really exciting.
that's exciting. I'm intrigued by the awards approach by having that system. I love the sound of that, so can't wait to play around with that in the future whenever it launches. So yeah, that is yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. In terms of another question here, we have from Gustavo Ray Panda. Gustavo asks, "What are your hopes for Habbo next year?" Is there obviously
Ooh,
we touched base on a couple different ideas for both
yeah.
Origins and Habbo, but what is your hope? What is your dream for Habbo in 2026?
Um, okay, this is an interesting question. I think, first of all, touching back on some topics we've already discussed, what I really want in Habbo is some love to the social features and some innovation there. Really set Habbo apart again in like, as a game. Like, this game has unique social kind of features. I think that is going to be important. That is something I want to see inside Habbo. Secondly, I want to continue the Wired project and maybe also already touch on the room building stuff that I mentioned.
Nice.
Yeah, in general, I want to see. I want to see. I really don't know what is going to happen in 2026, right? But
Of
what
course,
I
yeah.
want is really focus on very core game. Um, like I've read many tweets recently, saying that there are still so many issues inside Habbo. Like, the marketplace is slow, and there are. I have an entire list of these. I write all of
Mhm.
them down, and they are in my backlog. I literally write all of them down. So when you come to me and you say, like, "Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong," as if you're bringing something new to me. No, you're not telling me anything new. I have this all written down. But yeah, so these kinds of things, I think those are important as well. And I
I
think with those three, I think that is in an ideal world where like Habbo goes to next year.
I love it. I love it. That's a good step forward, and it's in the right direction. Everything you just said, that's that's exactly the type of stuff that we definitely want to hear from the community side. So I'm all support and looking forward to seeing what happens next. Now we have a question from a unique username I see here, Webbed Toes. So that's a funny username. They're asking here if they're curious how much freedom do you have, Jonas, like with Habbo? Like how much freedom do you have to explore different features, different ideas when you're creating things? Like are you able to propose anything, or do you have to wait for an idea to come in? Like how much control do you technically have in your role?
That is a really interesting question because I've been through different phases of this company by
Mm-hmm.
now. In the beginning, it was kind of difficult
Mm-hmm.
to really get things moving fast. I had kind of like, even with Wired, I basically had to pass everything on and really, this might sound obvious that you ask permission for features, and that is obvious, but it went pretty far. Like for minor fixes or like improvements, I need to kind of ask in the very beginning. That is the first thing that kind of loosened up. Right now with Wired, there is definitely no like they trust me. They trust me that I am doing the making the right decisions for Wired.
Nice.
And then general Habbo features kind of this the freedom has been increasing always. I think I've also received some trust that I have good ideas for the game.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, there in the beginning there would often be something that I want to improve or something, and sometimes it could actually take quite a while for things to get approved, or like there was way too much discussion and it took months and months of like touching back into it. But the times have definitely changed, and I definitely got some trust.
That's awesome.
So right now it's more an issue of time management. I think I think if I had the time, um, I could move forward without much blockers, because you know that Mumio Papa is right now the product owner of
Yeah.
Habbo.
Yeah, the director.
Um,
Yep.
he's really open for all the kinds of suggestions that I make. He's a really nice person and open for all the feedback. He's also very very positive about the Wired project, very excited about it, and also about the game features that I propose. So I definitely feel like he trusts me as well
Nice.
with the things I propose. So yeah, there is, and definitely in comparison to when I started, there is a lot of freedom.
No, that's good. And I think at the end of the day, you earned it. I think in the beginning, I think it's you got to like go through the bumps. And I think now you've been here for a couple years, you've proven yourself as well, and the community loves you. Like at the end of the day, you're the one that that everyone speaks highly of, at least from what I see. So, in my eyes, you've definitely earned it, Jonas. All right, you've earned it. Oh yeah, this is a good question. What's your favorite rare in general? Whether it's old school or new school. What's your favorite rare in the game?
Well, it is the pink dragon. I think the pink dragon is really
Oh,
iconic.
nice.
I really love it. I also love that it has like a slightly different color of fire than in comparison to the normal fire dragon lamps. But that is my favorite rare. But my favorite Fernie is the ray gun. I don't know if you know the ray
Oh,
gun.
yeah, yeah, I do know, and we
It's
definitely
like
don't
this
have that in
yellow
Origins.
thingy.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big
They
thing.
need that in Origins. It looks pretty old school in my opinion, and I really
It
love that furniture. And in Dutch, it's actually called the Pixel Splicer 3000. So that
Okay.
really gives it a more fun tune as well. I love
Okay.
that furniture. Yeah.
That's all. Hey, good choices. The pink dragon is an all time favorite. I know we technically have two pink dragons in Habbo now. We have the Bonnie
Yeah.
one, and then we have the original. The original one is better. Let's be honest. Like the original one is the
I
classic.
was a bit critical of that. I'm sorry for the people who are not a fan of me being critical of that, but I don't know. It's I don't know. It feels like the pink dragon is a little less special now.
Yeah, with
Maybe
the
not
second
even a
one,
little, but like
I agree.
significantly less special now. And
I
it was my
agree.
favorite furniture. I never
Uh,
owned it, but still.
Yeah, I've never owned it either. I know there's a couple people that have it, and it's one of the rarest dragons, or if not one of the rarest rares in the
Yeah, it's
game.
crazy.
So
It's crazy.
it's insane. But what else do we have here? We already talked about that earlier. Um, Let me see. That's just trying to see here. Okay. And then I'm just checking the top here. I'm reading through, by the way, for anyone wondering, I'm reading through some of your questions, but some of it we already talked about in the stream. So I'm not going to repeat the question in here. Someone asked, have you ever hosted I guess they meant Fallen Fernie and kicked everyone at the end? It's such a random question, but
Well, I have hosted Falling Fernie definitely in my first, I guess, 1 or 2 years on Habbo. That was like the first thing that I hosted. Like, that's an exciting thing, right? When you just got enough furniture to actually make
yeah,
something and host something. Falling
yeah.
Fernie was the first thing. Did I kick everyone? No. That
Exactly,
sounds a
yeah.
bit weird.
It sounds a bit intense. But all right, I think that's all the questions from the chat here from both sides. Now for I guess we'll ask one final one. Do you this is a good one to end it off from. So the perfectionist asks, do you miss being anonymous in any way? Like do you like that you are a public figure in the community where people can interact with you? Or do you wish that you had a little bit more privacy? Like are you happy with how it is now?
I That is a difficult question. Um, I don't know how to answer that one. I think it has its pros and
Pros and
cons.
cons. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think there's
yeah.
any perfect answer for it, but I personally, I'm a huge fan of developers interacting with the community and blocking all the trolls. There's a lot of trolls out there. It's just, you know what I mean? But for the people, for the gamers that are really wanting the game to improve and to, that are passionate, I think they love interacting with developers. So, although there's pros and cons with what you do, I just want to say from myself and a lot of the friends that I know have a similar opinion, we appreciate the interactions that you do online and offline. Like
That's
it's definitely nice
really
to
nice
see,
to hear. Yeah.
right? So I know you
But
were, I know you,
by the way,
yeah.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
By the way, I that is actually interesting, but I almost never, I think maybe even never, but probably a few times, but I almost never block trollers or like people who are toxic on social media.
Oh,
I still see their messages. I think it's still like still gives kind of a view like I guess there are two kinds of trollers and two kinds of toxic people, right? Well, I'm not trying to group trollers and toxic people, by the way, but I'm just talking about two different groups now. I think
like
there's two
like
types
types of
of
two
both of
types of
these.
messages. Yeah,
Yeah, there's two types of both of these, and it's kind of the ones who are really trolling or being toxic to harass someone with only that goal, or they have a genuine frustration. Um, and what I see is that definitely with Habbo and on Twitter, it is 99% of the time is the second one. They have genuine frustrations with this game and they just don't know very well how to withhold it. So I would feel kind of bad to block them. I still see the messages, so I still have kind of an idea what's playing in people's minds. But I will definitely interact less with those people.
of course. Yeah, you wanna have like healthy conversations with people, even if they're frustrated. But we don't want to reward like people that are truly negative for the wrong reasons. So I appreciate you saying that. Now, for everyone listening and watching, we're going to end it off right here. We've been chatting for quite some time. Jonas, I don't know if you want to give any other shout outs. I know you gave a shout out to the Wired community. But honestly, between you and I, like, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has
Thank you for
been,
having me, man.
yeah, no, I'm glad you said yes. I've asked a couple people from time to time, and I know it's not easy for people, especially with someone in your position. But I definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, answering some very tough questions. I think this podcast can provide some context for people listening and watching, but also show that you willing to be here to speak with me. Is different. It's something you've never done before, so it's a first one for you, and it's the first time you and I have ever spoken in this aspect, right? We've spoken obviously in Discord and
Definitely.
offline, but this is cool, and I hope we can have you again in the future. I'd love to definitely discuss more topics, give you more tough questions. I'm kidding. Maybe in the future we can get you in Origins. Hopefully your account gets fixed. So Maccabee, if you're listening, get this man his account back. Hopefully it can work.
Thank you.
But no, man. Jokes aside, thank you so much. It's been truthfully a pleasure. But if you have any last words, feel free to share it right now.
Well, I think you are a great host, by the way, as well, because you say like tough questions. They were like some tough questions, but I like you have a way of making. I've listened to 2 of your episodes, and you definitely have a way of making sure that the guest is very comfortable, and I appreciate that. Like I feel the same thing as well. Like at at no time at all you are trying to make a situation difficult for me, which is really nice. Definitely, since I've never been on a podcast, and I know in some podcasts people are put in difficult situations. You are definitely the opposite. Very, very nice and very nice. Very nice kind of way of having conversation from you. So I definitely appreciate that, and I was definitely excited to be on this podcast as well.
No, I appreciate it, man. No, that means a lot. I definitely don't want anyone, whether it's a staff member or a regular community gamer, to be in this podcast and feeling uncomfortable in any way, especially with any tough questions. Like there were some other questions that I read. I'm like, I'm not going to ask that. And we want to make sure that this is fun and this is still like a learning experience for people listening and watching. So I appreciate you, having a good time and interacting here. And for everyone watching, feel free to, make sure you give. I know Sir Jonas is not going to promote himself, but give him a follow on X. Show some love to his account on social media. He's taking the time out of his busy day. So if you enjoyed this experience, make sure you show him some love and show him some appreciation. Again, just to summarize here once more, Jonas does not call Habbo legacy. Okay, I want to make sure that's very clear. That he made sure that was clear to me in the beginning that we were just going to use that for this podcast, just to make sure there's no confusion with Origins. And because as we talked about Wired, I wanted to make sure that everyone understood Origins is not getting wired. So, but yeah, I had a great time. For everyone listening and watching, be sure to follow the streams, follow my content on X, Twitch, YouTube. I'm on everything. Follow me on Instagram, all the good stuff. We're gonna be hosting some fun games in the community very soon. We have Squid Game coming up. We have tons of other surprises that I can't really announce just yet on my side, but we have a ton of cool games that are coming from Ducky World, so it's going to be a fun experience for everyone. But you can catch me in Discord. Everyone that is listening and watching, thank you so much for supporting the content. Thank you for taking the time to listening to this episode right here. We hope you had fun. If you want to see Sir Jonas back on another podcast episode in the future, write it in the comments below. Show some love on X. And again, thank you so much. Everyone, we will see you on the way out. And as always, we'll see you next time. Take care.